Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 700 Club. A surprising report from Israel today where officials are taking seriously a recent upsurge in spitting and hitting attacks on clergy and the vandalism of Christian sites.
Christians in Jerusalem's Old City say they've been repeatedly assaulted. So how are Christian leaders responding? CBN's Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
The situation led Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Police Commissioner Yaakov Shabtai to meet leaders of the Orthodox and Catholic churches of the Holy Land.
In recent months, we've seen very serious phenomena towards the Christian denominations in the Holy Land. Our brothers and sisters, Christian citizens, feel attacked in their places of prayer, in their cemeteries and on the streets.
Christians in Jerusalem's Old City say they are often harassed, spit on, and even physically attacked by religious Jewish youth.
I view this phenomenon as extreme and unacceptable in any shape or form. This phenomenon needs to be uprooted.
Earlier incidents include the desecration of a Protestant cemetery on Mount Zion, an attack on international Christians during a day of prayer for Jerusalem, and harassment at a Messianic concert in Jerusalem.
We must respect the members of all religions. We've committed to this since the dawn of our existence. This is the most basic commandment of love your neighbor as yourself.
Church leaders expressed their desire to work together with Israeli authorities.
We need to work together in order to encourage coexistence and solidarity between us, and the love between us, because we are brothers in the same state. We live in the same places, and we need to live together in quiet and peace.
Recently, Israeli Channel 13 reporter Yossi Eli went undercover as a priest for a day. Dressed in a robe, he walked through the Old City with Franciscan Father Alberto. In the first 5 minutes, he was spat at 5 times by Orthodox Jewish Israelis. In Haifa, Israel's police commissioner said the police are working to eradicate incidents and trends that affect the sense of security.
We're here to reassure you of that and to offer any assistance that may be required. As part of the cooperation between all the parties, we're working to bridge the gaps in places of conflict while simultaneously striving to provide the vital sense of security.
David Parsons from the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem says the attacks are coming from a fringe element.
Most Israelis welcome Christians here. They welcome Christian support. But there does seem to be a fringe, a small fringe on the religious right that for whatever motivations are trying to harass and give trouble for Christians here.
He also says it's a learning curve for Israel right now.
Jewish people wouldn't tolerate these sorts of attacks against them. In other countries, they're very vocal about it, and they shouldn't tolerate it here when their own co-religionists carry out similar attacks against Christians.
Parsons told CBN News the scriptures are clear about how Christians should treat the Jewish people.
Scriptures are clear that Genesis 12:3 says we need to bless the Jewish people. Isaiah says comfort them. Paul in Romans 11 says show them mercy. So we have biblical commands to stand with Israel, support them. We're not going to condition that support on whether or not these attacks are stopping, but it does make it harder for us to build support and friendship for Israel out there.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks so much, Julie. Turning now to those historic wildfires in Hawaii. At least 55 are confirmed dead, and that number is expected to rise. 1,000 people are still missing. Hundreds of homes and businesses have been destroyed. But local churches are responding to help the victims of this major disaster. CBN's Brody Carter has this report.
There's still no food, no restaurants open, no stores open, nobody can get gas.
Lahaina, Hawaii is home to about 13,000 people in Maui. Now, the mayor says the town is gone after the largest and deadliest fire on record raged throughout the streets Wednesday and Thursday.
This was a home. There's their car.
The once historic district is being described as apocalyptic.
Unfortunately, almost every single business inside of Front Street is burned down.
Much of the area's culture has been erased, with as many as 270 buildings damaged or destroyed.
So anything that was a wooden structure is pretty much gone. Anything that was concrete, like some of the old courthouse or something like that, they're still standing up, but pretty much everything's burned down.
look at this.
We were not prepared for what we saw.
Richie Olston, a Maui helicopter pilot for 52 years, says the destruction reaches as far as the eye can see.
What we saw looked like an area that had been bombed and burned in a war zone.
Billows of black smoke and then a separate billow of white smoke.
Survivors tell disturbing stories of narrow escape, some with only the clothes on their back.
It was literally burnt to the ground with ash heat.
Niecy Davies from Nashville was vacationing just miles away from the flames. She tells CBN News she's just grateful to be alive.
An angel couple decided they were going to go to the airport a day early and said that they would squeeze us into their rental car.
Maui County officials say the wildfire in Lahaina is roughly 80% contained, but power isn't expected to be restored for days, if not weeks. They say a red flag alert with dry conditions, low humidity, and high winds helped fan the flames of the massive inferno.
The reason it spread so fast is there are reports of gusts of up to 85 miles per hour.
President Biden has declared Maui a disaster zone, making federal funds available to help those affected. The money will be used for temporary housing, home repairs, and other efforts to help pick up the pieces in Maui. CBN's Operation Blessing is connecting with churches in Hawaii and supporting their efforts, and the needs are great amid the devastation.
We are reeling. It's been terrible to see.
Jonathan Laurie, the youngest son of evangelist and pastor Greg Laurie of Harvest Christian Fellowship, tells CBN's Faith Nation their church in Lahaina, Kumalani Chapel, is finding it hard to cope in the immediate aftermath.
About 10 families or more that we know of already have lost their homes, lost their businesses, had to run out of the house in the middle of the night because they heard the evacuation call.
Contacting his team on the ground is hard because communications are down. Families with nothing left are taking refuge inside the church while emergency crews work round the clock.
We need to be praying for the peace of the people that are there. We need to be praying for their safety. I heard officials saying that they're up to 10 days out from having electricity.
And recovery and relief efforts will take far longer as Hawaiians hit by the fires look to rebuild after the devastation that swept through their homes and businesses. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Thank you, Brody. You know, when this story broke, I think a lot of folks thought it was going to be a blip on the screen, quick in the news cycle. But now that the images and video are coming out, people are saying this is a tragic and devastating situation. And of course, you know, like a hurricane, like a tornado, there's still much danger after the crisis has passed and the cleanup efforts and recovery. And now looking at no power for weeks. So I'm very glad to hear CBN's Operation Blessing is going to be partnering with local churches. And you can find out more about the relief efforts in Hawaii by going to cbnnews.com.